Pokemon Horizons episode 64 just aired, and honestly, it left me speechless. So many twists, turns, crazy betrayals, and epic moments that had us all gasping. This episode was an emotional roller coaster. Let's dive in. We opened the episode with Liko reflecting on her loss to Grusha in the previous episode. It was brutal, and she even failed the final test of the terrestrial implementation exam. Roy and Dot noticed their saddened friend and try their best to think of a way to cheer her up. But while all of this is happening, a familiar behemoth is watching our trio in the distance. We cut to a van somewhere else on the mountain, revealing who our little spy is. And yes, you guessed it, it's Spinel, the guy who always likes to spy on people. I swear, this guy needs to be locked up behind bars. A gate, one of Spinel's colleagues from the Explorers, lets him know that their plan to stop the trio before they return back to school is now in motion, as well as the fact that Amethio is on his way, as he's been closely following behind him. Let's go. It's been a while since we've seen my boy Amethio. He's such a goat. Even with Amethio's inevitable arrival, Spinel is unfazed, as he has a special surprise on him, which is the Rakurium crystal he stole from an organization named Exceed in episode 54. We catch up with our gang, who have reached a crossroad. Roy wants to go see the highest peak of Glaseado mountain. However, Dot thinks it would be a pain, as she already wants to head to the bottom due to the cold. This leaves our final decision into the hands of our MC, Liko. Even though she starts to second guess, Floragato quickly reminds herself to decide, and leads her to go with Roy's choice of seeing the peak of the mountain. Our trio struggle to head up the long snowy path, but eventually see a resting cabin in the far distance. But with Liko trailing behind, she doesn't witness what crazy thing just happened right in front of her. Someone moved a boulder to block the path Roy and Dot took, causing Liko to unknowingly go the wrong way. On top of this, she's stuck in her own head, feeling bad about moping around her friends. I think this is really relatable. We've all had moments where something major happens and all we can focus on is that one outcome, ignoring everything else around us. We don't have to wait too long to find out who the perpetrator behind moving the boulders was. It was none other than Admin Gate and her Medicham, as I mentioned earlier. In the skies, we see Amethio flying on his Corvi Knight, and he spots Spinel emerging from his van. Determined to find out what he's doing out here, he slowly begins to follow him. Back to Roy and Dot, they've realized that Liko has gone missing and try to call out to her, but hear no response. Confused about how she could have gotten lost, they head down to the mountain to search for her. The focus shifts now to Amethio, who is walking. He stops and questions, where did Spinel go? He then hears footsteps and rushes to them quickly. The focus shifts to Liko and Floragato, who are also walking. Liko's worried that she might have gone the wrong way. This moment was funny, but nonetheless, Liko hears footsteps and happily runs toward them. This sets up for one of the biggest moments of the episode. Liko and Amethio run into each other. What a moment. This is one of the scenes I've been the most hyped to see ever since we got the preview for this episode. Both characters question why the other is out here, and Amethio feels something is off about this situation. Liko, on the other hand, already believes that Amethio has been following her this whole time, scared because she didn't expect him to follow her this far. Oh my gosh, the awkwardness. But I don't blame her. She has had a bad past with these guys. Amethio asks if Liko has Terpagos in her bag. Terpagos reveals itself, angered by Amethio's presence. Even though Amethio is aware that Terpagos doesn't like him, he sees this as a perfect opportunity to seize and catch Terpagos. He sends out his partner ceruledge. Liko tells him to stop, but Amethio responds, remember, the last time we met, I said I have that Pokemon. Liko refuses to back down and hand over to Terpagos, and she and Floragato prepare to battle. Liko swears that she will protect Terpagos, and I absolutely love this. It's finally Liko's time to prove she can protect something all on her own. Gone are the days when Freed was always around to protect her. The battle begins. Aware that she didn't stand a chance the last time she battled with Amethio, Liko now has Floragato, and this time is different. Man, is it different. Amethio kicks off with Psycho Cut, but Liko commands Floragato to use Quick Attack, easily dodging the cuts. Slightly angered by this, Amethio calls ceruledge to attack with Shadow Claw. However, Liko uses her knowledge from her previous battle with Grusha to have Floragato use its yo-yo to dodge the attacks, causing ceruledge to miss. This allows Floragato to sneak up with acrobatics. Amethio luckily notices this and commands ceruledge to counter the attack, resulting in a clash. Liko then commands Floragato to use Magical Leaf, landing a direct blow on ceruledge. Liko tells Floragato, "We can do this, we can do it," and man, she can. So far, Liko's been battling incredibly well, especially against an opponent like Amethio. Amethio acknowledges that the two have evolved and can actually put up a fight now. So, he swiftly moves on to his attacks, calling for ceruledge to use Bitter Blade. Liko commands Floragato to dodge, which it does with ease. Amethio, now triggered by the dodges, commands for a flurry of Bitter Blades, but Floragato effortlessly dodges them and counters with another Magical Leaf, which ceruledge blows away. Amethio notices that Liko is dodging his fire moves and attacking from outside his range. Liko can actually strategize now. I've seen a lot of people very pleased and proud of Liko in this battle against Amethio. She's put up a great fight, practically schooling Amethio by using strategies that benefit her in this disadvantaged fight, even catching Amethio off guard. I myself am proud to see how far Liko's come. As she said not too long ago, she didn't stand a chance against this guy. However, even with this major lead, Amethio wants to shift the tables completely with terastallization. He quickly terastallizes ceruledge to Terpagos and commands Phantom Force, causing it to disappear. Liko tells Floragato that it's behind her, but it's too late, as Floragato takes the massive blow. Amethio comments that the two of them have been running for far too long. As Floragato recovers from the attack, Amethio calls for the same attack once more. Even with both of them on the lookout for where ceruledge is, they are too late, resulting in Floragato getting hit. Amethio says, "It's no use, you can't block terastallized ceruledge's Phantom Force." Liko knows what she has to do if she wants to win, but thinks back to her match with Grusha. Even with terastallization in that match, she didn't do enough to secure the win. 2. She's technically not allowed to use terastallization anymore as a result of failing. Amethio notices Liko's self-doubt, but regardless, commands Phantom Force, heavily striking Floragato to the ground. Amethio declares that this battle is over and commands his last attack to be the super effective Bitter Blade. Just as ceruledge goes in for the win, boom! Out of nowhere, Spinel's Umbreon leaps into action, intercepting the attack and leaving everyone stunned and speechless. Who in their minds saw that coming? The two of them question, what is Spinel doing here? However, the menacing Spinel turns the question around, asking Amethio what he's doing here, as he hasn't heard of any new operations or anything like that. Amethio snaps back, saying that Spinel is a terrible liar and that he wanted both him and Liko to wear each other down in battle. But in a sarcastic tone, Spinel says he has no idea what Amethio means. He's here for one true goal only. He looks at Terpagos and then pulls out the Rakurium crystal. It creates a mist, similar to the one that Terpagos used in the past, allowing our heroes to see past visions of the adventurer Lucius. Spinel then throws the mist onto his own Pokemon Umbreon, causing it to go berserk. Yo, this reminded me of when Karina's Mega Lucario went berserk due to not being able to control Mega Evolution. Regardless, how is Spinel doing this to his own Pokemon? Both Liko and Amethio are completely stunned by what's happening. Terpagos reveals itself and is absolutely furious by the sight of the Rakurium crystal. Spinel cunningly smiles and commands Umbreon to rampage to its heart's content. Amethio commands ceruledge to use Shadow Claw but gets speed blitzed by Umbreon's attack, sending it crashing into a wall and out of terastallization. I couldn't believe it. Amethio rushes to see if his partner's okay, shocked at how the boost in Umbreon's power took out terastallized ceruledge in one hit. Liko and Floragato are terrified by what they're witnessing, stating this isn't normal. Spinel, with a cunning and maniacal look on his face, holds the crystal up to Terpagos and asks, "What will you do?" This enrages Terpagos, causing it to transform into its terrestrial form, shocking everyone, especially Spinel, who is reveling in the display. For this guy, moments like this are like cinema. I swear man, he is not okay. Terpagos then uses its power to cure Umbreon of its berserk state, causing the crystal to shatter, Both Umbreon and Terpagos faint. This is really bad. I can already tell that this crystal is gonna be a major threat in the future. If just using one of them expends so much of Terpagos' power to heal a berserk Pokemon, oh boy, it's not looking good. With Spinel fascinated by his results, he returns Umbreon and thanks Liko for her cooperation. Liko shouts, "Wait, what was that?" And Amethio shouts, "What did you just do?" Then this man Spinel laughs and dips. I'm not making this up, man. He literally runs down the forest path. Amethio checks if ceruledge is okay and then chases after Spinel, and Liko does the same with floragato and chases after too. Spinel is legit dashing up this path with kids after him, and they're catching him too. I couldn't help but find this so funny. Anyways, Spinel heads into a cave. When Amethio and ceruledge arrive, they make sure everything is okay before proceeding inside. Not long after, Liko and floragato do the same. Inside the cave, Amethio notices that Liko is following him and tells her not to follow and to leave. However, Liko insists that she wants to understand what happened earlier and his connection with Terpagos. Amethio resists but starts searching for Spinel, with Liko following suit. Amethio then sees Spinel running through the cave like a madman. This guy loves to play too many games, oh my gosh. Amethio and Liko dash after him, only to find themselves in a massive cavern area, with Spinel nowhere to be found. Amethio says, "Impossible, was this all part of his plan?" Just as he's about to finish his sentence, he and Liko get trapped in the cave. Now, this is crazy. I kinda saw it coming, but I love how it actually happened because it's going to force Amethio and Liko to work together, something a lot of people have been wanting to see, and I'm all here for it. Spinel uses Behemoth to teleport outside of the cave, where he's greeted by a gate. She tells him that it seems everything is proceeding as planned, which he agrees, adding that the experiment went well. He explains that the crystal shattered, and his guess is that Terpagos doesn't resonate well with the Rakurium because they are opposed to one another. A gate is also fascinated by this, and Spinel, with an innocent yet sinister smile, agrees. Let me remind all of you that this is the same guy who made his own Pokemon go berserk and just trapped kids in a cave not too long ago. I swear, this guy needs to be locked up. A gate also informs Spinel that Sango and Onyx are on their way to deal with some other people on the mountain. With help not arriving soon, Spinel says, "Their little Amethio is done for, but he's glad because Amethio was an eyesore to the organization. Even though his grandfather Gibeon held him in special regard, Amethio was bound to get in their way." A gate adds that blood ties can lead to hardships now and then. They both then look down at the cave and say one of the most shocking lines from this episode. "For the future of the explorers, we shall allow his grandson to disappear." Hey. I can't believe what I'm hearing right now. These guys actually just said they're glad that Amethio is out of the picture because he was a problem for their plan, wanting him to be out of the explorers, even if it meant leaving him stranded in a cave to potentially die. This is actually insane, especially coming from Pokemon. You wouldn't expect a show like this to go this deep, but here we are. Man, I pray and hope that Amethio joins the Rising Volt tacklers soon because this betrayal is actually crazy. These guys left him for dead. We then shift our attention to Freed. Hey, it's been a while. He's currently speaking to Roy and Dot, who explain that they can't find Liko and describe the situation. Freed understands and tells them that he'll be there right away. However, he pauses and recalls that there was something about the Glaseado gym, but then stops speaking and makes a call. My big prediction is that Freed is going to call Grusha to come and help, because there's no way he'll get there in just a few minutes. If he calls him, then it's going to be so awesome. With Roy and Dot realizing it's going to take time for Freed to arrive, they decide to go search for Liko themselves. Just as they're about to leave, two people appear, shocking our heroes. I wonder who they are. We're then brought back to the cave, where Amethio commands ceruledge to use Psycho Cut on the boulders, but it's no use. Amethio remarks that it looks like they're not going to be getting out that easily. Liko can't get any signal on her Rotom foam, and they could be in some serious trouble if they don't get out. The fact that only Spinel and a gate know they're trapped is scary, because no one else will ever know. Horizons really cooked this episode with its high stakes. Terpagos has now recovered from the earlier incident, but quickly notices Amethio and becomes furious again. Amethio remarks that catching Terpagos hardly is his priority right now, but Terpagos loses it. Liko tries her best to calm it down. We return to our duo faced with Sandwich and Onigiri. Oh my gosh, I was dying. Sandwich gets angry at Onigiri, asking why does she have to be the one to help out the dork, but Onigiri responds that it's good to help out your comrades now and then. Sandwich guesses it's a nice distraction. Roy and Dot still haven't clocked what's going on and insists to them they have an emergency so they need to get out of their way. Onigiri replies that they've played the student role long enough. Boom, the two of them transform out of their disguises, revealing themselves to be Sango and Onyx. Both trainers call out their partners Galele and Garganacl, and our heroes finally catch on. The episode ends with a major cliffhanger. What's going to happen next at Glaseado Mountain? I just want to start by saying episode 64 of Horizons was legit peak writing in my opinion. Just wow. I loved every single bit of this episode and I literally cannot say anything bad about it because there was just so much good to talk about. Liko battled so well in her match against Amethio, and as I've said already, a lot of people were proud of how well she performed, and if she was able to terrestrialize, who knows what could have happened in the rest of the battle. Maybe she could have even closed it up. When it comes to Liko and Amethio being trapped together, this was a big one for me and so many people wanted to see it. Two opposing sides having to work together, but now this goes even deeper. From the start, one of my personal wants for Amethio's character is that he goes on an anti-hero / turning good guy character arc, and it seems that the ball has finally started rolling. With the explorers practically leaving Amethio for dead, there's kind of no going back from this, especially because they wanted Amethio out of the plan from the start. People have literally been saying that Amethio is now on his Zuko arc from Avatar The Last Airbender, and man, I'm all for it. Please, my boy Amethio, it would be so perfect if he becomes good and joins the Rising Volt Tacklers. It's something I really want to see, and I know many of you want to see that too. Now for Spinel. This guy needs to be locked up. I ain't trying to make this strawberries or rainbows or sugarcoat it. Spinel is a real menace. He is not okay. I repeat, not okay. He made his own Pokemon go berserk for an experiment and literally trapped kids in a cave to die. Like, it doesn't get worse than this. I think it's very evident that Spinel is eventually going to betray the explorers and become another villain on his own. It's very clear that this man has his own agenda and own goal of being a part of the explorers, which doesn't align with the original and final goal of the explorers leader, Gibeon. It's only a matter of time he does this, especially with this new Rakurium crystal. This guy is going to be a major threat. I can feel it. Regardless, Pokemon Horizons episode 64. Man, what an episode. Peak, literal peak in my opinion. I truly hope that next week's episode 65, can top this because the twists and turns in this episode were so good. What I can't wait to see the most in next week's episode is the moment of Liko and Amethio being trapped in the cave together, because it's going to allow for some juicy lore and backstories being revealed by Amethio in that episode. And maybe, just maybe, a potential turning point for Amethio to come to the good side. But let me know in the comments down below what are your thoughts on episode 64. Did you like it or did you hate it? Also, please be sure to give the video a like and subscribe. It would really help me out a ton to make more content like this for you guys. It's been your boy. Thank you all for watching.